All right, time for the 2-year ownership review. 2020 XSR 900 in a garage. I'm shooting this in my garage because even though it kind of looks sunny outside, it's on and off sprinkling, and I can't ride, so I thought I would just film the bike. I'm also doing this handheld, not sure how unstable this is going to look. I don't have a gimbal. I don't have all that vlogging equipment, but figured I'd just walk around, show you the bike, talk about updates since my last original video, and talk about how it's been to own for the last couple years. So for those of you who saw my last video where I did a little walk around talking about the modifications I've done to this bike, check that out if you haven't watched it. I'll put that down in the description. But that was kind of genesis on getting this thing to look the way I wanted it to look. I thought it was a great looking bike stock, but I kind of saw an opportunity to clean it up a bit and make it more of a bike that I wanted to turn it into. So let's run through real quick, the modifications that I've done. Okay, things that are different since the last video. Brembo brakes, rotors and calipers, 104mm M4s with the 18mm spacers. Those were hard to find. Got the 320mm Brembo Euro rotors. Immediate difference in stopping power. Holy shit. The Spielger stainless and braided brake lines. And come on, focus. There we go. Front and rear. Still have the ABS, didn't do the ABS delete. Woodcraft Rearsets. Got rid of the stock rear sets, got these lovely Woodcraft Rearsets. If you guys are considering buying anything by Woodcraft, do it, because their stuff is top shelf. Oh yeah. I got an SW Motec Evo Micro tank bag with the tank ring system. Somewhere over there. There it is. There's the bag hanging. But if you follow my Instagram or see other pictures online, you'll see what it looks like on the bike. I also usually have the spare fuel tank mounted to the handlebars right there. They're both off the bike because I recently went to the track, and that's that guy there. Focus. There it is. Since my last video, I also got the ECU Flashed, as I said I would, by VCycleNut. Dave with VCycleNut is awesome. He'll work with you. He's got good prices and really changes the character of the bike with those flashes. So I couldn't recommend it enough to tuning the bike to how you like to ride. And you can do all customizable tunes for A mode, B mode, and standard mode, and also, you know, any other custom changes you want to make. Speaking of changes, the other big one that I did this winter was add the Woolich quickshifter autoblipper system. Zoom in on that guy. So replaces the shift rod, even replace the Woodcraft included shift rod. I'm running GP shift there, and that plugs into your O2 sensor. And you can't just plug and play. You also have to add Woolich Racetools to your ECU, which again, David from VCycleNut did for me, and set that up. It includes launch control. I believe it's set to 6,500 RPM. You can also get a pit lane speed limiter if you add a button there on your handlebar. I didn't opt for that just because I'm not a racer, and I like to go to the track, but that was a little extra thing and I didn't feel like doing it. Another obvious one, the carbon fiber. I loved the look of the red white with the gold wheels that this bike came in stock, but this winter I got a little bored, and it was a long winter with a lot of rain, and so those guys ended up getting pulled off. That's the great thing about this bike too, is these panels just pull right off. The stock ones are aluminum, not plastic like I've heard some people say online. Maybe they are in the first years, but definitely the 2020, those guys are aluminum. Anyway, got the RPM carbon tank panels, as well as the RPM carbon radiator guards. Those things are sharp. And the RPM carbon tire hugger, extra sharp. These carbon fiber fork guards were from a company in Japan called YMCK something. I'll add the link in the video, but those guys look really nice too, add a nice kind of custom touch to it. This winter I also added Vortex front and rear new sprockets. I went with the standard OEM tooth count, and I also added the LighTech chain tensioners. These things are worth their weight in gold. Makes tightening your chain or taking your wheel off so easy. I highly recommend everybody get those for your bike. It just makes life so much easier. Also, while I put on the new sprockets, as you should, got a new chain with it. I think this is the EK 3D chain, which actually is looking a little loose. I actually added 112 links on there. Stock is 110 links. I did 112. Extended the wheel base about an inch or so. I'm gonna actually knock one of those off and put it back to stock, just because I wanted to try it out. But after going to the track last weekend, it was a little too long in the tooth. One isn't quite as nimble in the corners. Okay, the other really obvious mod that everybody asks me about is this Bellypan. Gentleman in Thailand makes these, or his friend makes them, and then he sells them for his friend. But he posted pictures on the XSR owners group on Facebook, and I thought, hey, that looks pretty cool. I'll give it a shot. And yeah, made out of fiberglass, and not the easiest install. There were kind of custom brackets that I had to make, but I think it looks pretty good. I had to prep it, paint it, clear coat it myself. I added those kind of little decals on there just to give it a little flash of color. And as I learned last weekend at the track as well, it does not like turn 6 at Thunderhill West. With the bottom, or the suspension bottoming out, it took off a chunk of that. And so lesson learned there. Another reason to shorten the chain and extend the wheelbase. I think I'll get a little bit more clearance on those long sweeping turns. But this Bellypan looks great, gives it a totally unique look. Get a lot of compliments for it online and in person. Yeah, it's just a great. It just kind of finishes the look of the bike, kind of that attack mode, neo retro, but more neo, as I've been taking it in that direction. Man, yeah, it's pretty far from stock. There's the Honda Elite 80. I've also gotten requests to showcase this more. Shout out to Ben. What's up? But we will focus on this guy today. Last but not least, at least everything that I can remember at the moment, the Nitron R2 rear shock with the remote reservoir there, and the remote preload adjuster there. The reason why the reservoir, some of you may be looking at this going, that's not right. That's also being held on with zip ties. You're correct. Normally there is a bracket that mounts to the rear passenger peg and holds the reservoir right here. I took it off recently because that bracket actually blocked the rear passenger peg from being mounted. Yes, I do have a passenger peg delete, which I ride with that most of the time, but my girlfriend likes to ride with me on weekends, and I wanted to be able to put the peg back on. So I moved it up here. I took the bracket off, zip tied it right there, and it's actually really solid. Put a little gaff tape there to protect it. But that way I can put the passenger peg back on and we can go ride together. But the Nitron R2 rear shock, holy shit, what a difference from OEM. OEM honestly isn't that bad for 80% of the riders out there. It's good around town, you know. You don't have much adjustability, same with the front, but it gets the job done. People often forget that they're getting such an amazing bike for such a low price, and Yamaha had to cut some corners, and that rear shock was definitely one of the corners cut. So when you get around to upgrading, definitely recommend the Nitron R2 or the Nitron R1 or the R3. But the Nitron systems are highly recommended. I haven't done anything to the front suspension. That I ran out of money this winter upgrading everything else. So I want to eventually get the Nitron cartridge kit. I think the TVS or TVT 25, I think the 25 millimeter springs in there. I can't remember the name. I'll send a link or post a link, whatever you YouTubers say. I know the immediate fix for this is to throw a heavier weight oil in there, just because this thing absolutely collapses under hard braking, especially at the track when you're just slamming on it. Especially with these Brembos, it just absolutely crushes the front end and the whole front of the bike dives. And you know, I'm willing to live with that for now, just because, again, this isn't a race bike. It's kind of my dream build bike that I happen to take to the track. It's not going to be a dedicated racer, you know, as much as I would love to, but I would also be heartbroken if I ended up dropping this thing and ruining it. So I love having fun with it. I love riding fast on it, but yeah, I'm going to try my best not to drop it, because I want to keep this bike for a long, long time. I'm honestly forgetting probably half of the other modifications I've done to it in the last year or two. A bunch of little things, but overall, what you see is what you get. And I'm pretty much done. Aside from the front suspension, like I mentioned, I'm pretty much done building this bike out. It looks the way I kind of envisioned when I first bought it. It performs the way that I was expecting, and just surprises me every time I get on it. It's just such a fun bike to ride. Get some close-ups. Cue the Marvin Gaye music. Okay, quick run through on ownership costs. Summary, it's cheap. Take care of your bike, it'll take care of you. Keep up with your maintenance schedule. Flush the fluids, change the brake pads, clean your chain, lube your chain, check your air pressure. You know, do your shit and your bike will be fine. Don't do your shit, it'll start giving you problems. Simple as that. One of the big reasons why I love this bike is the community around it. A lot of people, like I said, also compliment this bike when they don't know what it is. I often get mistaken for a Ducati, which I think is hilarious, but you know, I'll take whatever I can get. I proudly say, no, it's a Yamaha. It's a Yamaha. The owners group and enthusiasts about this bike, everybody's just so helpful and willing to ask questions and help each other out. There's a massive third-party aftermarket market for parts. So you can really turn these bikes into anything you want to turn them into. If you want to turn them into a touring bike, you can do that. You know, you can load it up with cases, you can load it up with tank bags, and you can load it up with side bags and a more comfy seat. I actually have a Corbin, what is it called? The Gunfighter and Lady seat with the backrest. You know, for when I want to take my girlfriend on a ride, and it's a lot more plush, a lot more comfortable for her. But you can really just add anything you want to these and turn them into anything you want. I happen to strip this one down a little, make it a little more aggressive, and turn it into more of a Street Fighter type. On that note, a very sad note actually, after adding up the amount of money I've spent on modifications, I could have purchased a Ducati Street Fighter V4. And next. But to get this bike in the first place, it's cheap. I bought this at the dealer, bought it without taking it for a test ride, but I knew it was something I'd like. I think out the door I paid just under $11,000, brand new, with 2 miles on the clock. Current mileage, let's check it out. I don't even know. I think might be around past 15,000 recently. 15,098 miles from a 2020. And it is April of 2022. Enjoyed every single mile. Let's talk about tires. Same thing. You can turn this bike into whatever you want. You can put whatever kind of tires you want on it. I don't care. People have so many different opinions about what tires you should put on this bike. It all comes down to how you ride, where you ride, your riding style, the temperatures, the weather, everything. I happen to like Dunlop Q3 Pluses. I'm a big fan of the Dunlop line, and I go with that. The stock tires, the Battle Axe S20s, were spongy but grippy, but they completely disintegrated after about 1,500 miles, at least with my riding. So I did try a set or two of the Metzler. Actually, I still have one of the Metzler M9 RRs. That was also a really great tire. But before going to the track last year, I wasn't confident on those yet, and so I wanted to put something back on that I trusted, and that was the Q3 Pluses. And Revzilla and a lot of folks have, again, recently voted these some of the best tires you can get. And there's a reason why. They're grippy, they're sticky, you get actually really good life out of them. And they're just great all-around tires. Okay, enough of me yapping away. I'm sure you want to hear this Akrapovic exhaust. And luckily for you, the baffle still isn't replaced, because the last time I rode this bike was a week ago at the track. And so the baffle's still out, so it'll sound extra loud, especially in my garage. Let me get that set up. Okay, cold start. Hopefully I don't blow the microphone out. Woo! And I'm completely gassed in here now. But damn, that sounds good. Hopefully it didn't distort. I'm sure it did. But whatever. Get a taste for it. This thing sounds angry. It sounds pissed off. I've got the different baffles for it. I'll give you a quick tour of what I use. So this is the stock. Focus there. Focus. This is the stock baffle that comes with Akrapovic. It slides in this way. So you see these 3 exposed exit pipes. This one, it sounds good, but it's still pretty quiet. I keep that just in case I need to have it be quiet. This is the baffle that came included when I bought the exhaust secondhand. Kind of a hack job, but essentially just cut it off front and rear, and it's not very good. This is the one. Oh, actually, let's throw that down there. This is the one I run most of the time, and it's a nice in between. It cut the connector pipes in the back and chopped the ones in the front that you would normally see. So it's pretty resonant, pretty loud, but not deafening. And where'd that other one go? This is also a really nice one, kind of a little bit quieter than that last one I just showed you. This I think is the best option for most people riding. You take a stock one like so, and you maintain this back piece that is normally hidden, yet you drill a few holes in each of these pipes, as I've done here. And it lets a little more airflow into that resonant can. Cutting the front angled pipes off, it doesn't do anything for the sound. It doesn't increase the volume, but I think it just looks better than seeing these things right at the edge. You kind of get more of the gaping hole that, you know, it just looks more badass. But this guy, yeah, this is a good one too. It still allows a lot of grumble and backfire and pissed off sounding shit. But, you know, you're not going to get the attention of a bunch of cops. And that's my bike. Couldn't recommend it enough. If you see these on the secondhand market, I highly suggest picking one up. They're just a blast. The engine it's just like crack cocaine, man. You just want to keep going back to it, keep giving it a snap, keep giving it a flick, because it just wants to go. Any gear, it's got torque. It'll throw your arms back. It'll throw your head back. And it's just a blast to drive. You never get sick of it. Never. The only thing that's worth upgrading long term, I think, is suspension, maybe the seat, and you know, anything else that you want to change to it aesthetically. Make it your own bike. Enjoy it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know if there's something else specific you want to see. I'm going to be doing some more riding videos, some track day videos. I'm still trying to figure out the whole GoPro thing. It keeps failing on me during a session or during a recording. I'm not a good, you know, video person, but I'll take pictures all the time of this bike and try to get better at the video thing. Check out my Instagram, XSR900_CA for California. And that is where I post pictures of this bike and where I ride up here in Northern California. All right. Peace, everybody.